Hi guys, so this is going to be a bit of a different video. It's unscripted, quite off the cuff. Just wanted to share some thoughts about something that I've seen happening recently that I don't agree with necessarily. What I'm getting at is the way some labels have been used recently in what I consider to be some quite important conversations. So the one that I'm going to use as an example is racism, and what I've seen, which I think is problematic, is people saying that everybody is racist to some degree because we all have some degree of unconscious bias, which we've learned through the media or interactions with other people or what have you. Excuse me. Now, I agree that the vast majority of people do have some extent of unconscious bias. What I don't agree with is that equates to racism, because racism is the belief that people of a different race are fundamentally different as human beings, or that they're better or worse than you, or that they deserve to be treated differently based on their race. And the important word there for me is belief. An unconscious bias is not the same as a belief. It just isn't. Because an unconscious bias is something which comes from a learned behaviour, not from your personality. It's not a choice that you're making. The choice that you make is what you do with that thought when it comes about. If you actively try to catch yourself and fight against those thoughts, dismiss them, stop them from influencing your judgment and your actions, you're not a racist, because you're choosing not to be. As far as I'm concerned. I know some people are probably going to disagree with that, and that's fine. By all means, leave a comment down below disagreeing with me and we'll talk about it. I like that. Discussion is kind of what I'm here for. And I think the problems with defining racism in that way are that it cheapens the definition. When you're equating somebody who has some small degree of unconscious bias, when you're using the same word to describe that you use to describe the words of, say for example, a member of the National Front, a member of the KKK, a member of whatever other racially motivated movement that discriminates against people, then the definition becomes so broad that it's not very useful anymore. There's so many other examples in pop culture these days, because words just get sort of thrown about for everything and then they don't really mean anything anymore. Like the phrase "changed my life." And you see people on Instagram and Facebook and what have you saying how finding a salad shop has changed their life, or a lipstick, or a piece of clothing, or trivial things. And so the phrase doesn't really mean anything anymore. And it would be incredibly dangerous to the conversations that need to happen if we allow that to happen with words like racism. And for me, there are two reasons why it becomes problematic when you're thinking about the discussions and conversations that need to happen about prejudice for equality to become a reality for everyone. First is that, whether it's right or wrong, some people, when you start calling them a racist for thoughts that they're not choosing to have, are going to get defensive about that. And that helps nobody when you're trying to have a meaningful discussion. And second, when you make a sweeping generalisation like that, because that's what it is, that can also turn people off, because the problem then becomes insurmountable. It's like, well, if it's everyone, what can we possibly do about it? And also, the very fact that you're making a sweeping generalisation in that conversation for me is problematic. That's a huge part of what we're trying to get away from. And sweeping generalisations for me are not useful in conversations such as this. You know, they're just not constructive. I think you need to be specific about what you're talking about. I think the issue of unconscious bias absolutely does need to be addressed. And I think that is a conversation that we need to keep having, and we need to eradicate the things in media and in the way we interact with each other which instill those in people in the first place. It's obviously going to take a long time, but nothing worth doing is easy, as they say. But yeah, to summarise, I think using a sweeping generalisation as a definition for a word like racism is ill-advised. I don't think it makes the conversations that we need to have easier. I think it makes them more difficult. I think it muddies the waters. I think it cheapens the definition of the word and how useful it is. I just don't think it's constructive anyway. But obviously, I absolutely agree, equality for everyone should be one of the main priorities, if not the main priority for our society right now. And again, I don't disagree with what's actually being said. You know, I do agree that the vast majority of people have unconscious bias. We do need to get rid of that. But I don't agree that it's racism if you choose to ignore it, if you choose not to act on it. Because what more can you do than make that choice? Making that choice over and over again in your life is what will eradicate the bias from society. That's what we need to do. And I don't think calling people who are trying to do that racist is helpful. So I think that's about all I've got to say. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe. Comments would be great. You know, I'd love to have a discussion about it. I'm sure this is going to be quite an emotive subject for some people, if anybody actually watches the video. But and you know, I'm absolutely happy to talk about it. If you think I'm wrong, tell me why. I may agree with you, I may not, but I will do all I can to ensure we leave the discussion remaining friends regardless. That's pretty much my thing. I don't like discussions becoming angry on the internet. I think it confuses me. I don't see why people do it. So if you want to have a discussion with me, absolutely do that, and you know, from my side it will certainly remain friendly. So thanks for watching the video. I know it's been a bit of a rambly one, but I just wanted to have a bit of a chat about this, and I didn't really have time to write a script or anything, so there it is. If you made it this far, well done. Bye for now, guys.